Hello, and thank you for joining us on Tech 24. I'm Julia Seeger. Coming up, after discovering the Higgs boson 3 years ago, scientists at the European Organization for Nuclear Research are getting ready to search for more particles at the core of matter with a more powerful version of the Large Hadron Collider. And we'll travel to Cancun for Kaspersky's Lab annual summit. The Russian security firm has exposed spying programs that could be evidence of backdoor surveillance by the U.S. National Security Agency. And last but not least, we'll test the Electricmood, a fully equipped urban e-scooter that could just be the ticket for commuters. Scientists have known for centuries that matter is made out of elementary particles. But what they didn't understand until recently is where their mass came from. In the 1960s, Professor Higgs proposed a theory that there is an energy field that fills the entire universe, the so-called Higgs field, and that particles acquire their mass by interacting with it. This theory was validated in 2012 after scientists at the CERN actually detected the Higgs boson particle. They were able to do so thanks to a collider that tears protons apart by putting them on a collision course at nearly the speed of light. Finding the Higgs boson earned CERN scientists a Nobel Prize as it confirmed part of the mainstream theory of how our visible universe was created. Today, engineers hope to push the frontiers of physics even further thanks to an upgraded and more powerful version of this particle accelerator. Earlier, I spoke to Dr. Maru Mikado in Mer, Switzerland, where the CERN is conducting these experiments. I asked him what was so different about this version of the collider and what he hoped to find this time around.
The fact that the collider is more powerful will increase the proton collisions and therefore enable us to explore smaller distant scales. That way we'll be exploring uncharted territories. Our hopes are high because the existence of the Higgs boson particle implies in some sense that there are many other particles that have yet to be discovered. And we can only find them thanks to an increase in the machine's power.
For more on this, let's welcome our in-house expert, Dan and Jay Kadalkar. Dan, scientists are also probing another particle, so-called supersymmetric particles. Can you tell us what they are and what they could help us understand?
Yeah, absolutely, Julia. You know, supersymmetry is an extension of the standard model of physics that explains the matter and forces. So basically what the standard model says that every particle or the world is divided into two types of particles. One is fermions and the others are bosons. So electrons and protons, which are the matter particles, they are the fermions, while force-carrying particles like photons, they are bosons. According to the supersymmetry theory, each particle, they have a supersymmetric partner. So for example, a force-carrying particle will have a matter particle superpartner, and vice versa. So what scientists are hoping to achieve with the now upgraded Large Hadron Collider is that they are hoping to find these so-called supersymmetric particles, because the theory of supersymmetry is very important because it can also partially explain the dark matter. You know, dark matter is very important because more than 95% of the universe is made up of dark matter. So this supersymmetry theory, or the finding of the particle, could help us understand the universe, our universe, in a better fashion.
Well, thank you for that, Dan. Let's now head to Cancun in Mexico, where over 250 cybersecurity experts from around the world have gathered for Kaspersky Lab's annual summit. The Russian security firm used the occasion to announce it had discovered a cyber attack group that goes beyond anything it's ever tracked or witnessed. And while it refuses to point any fingers, some experts say the U.S. National Security Agency could be behind this spying program. Claire Williams and Farah Boucharak report.
Meet the cyber warriors, online security experts whose job it is to defend the internet from viruses and malware. They're in Cancun for Kaspersky Lab's Security Summit, and the day starts with a martial arts workout on the beach. The summit is a chance for the Russian organizer to show off its latest discoveries. This year, the security firm says its top researchers have found a cyber attack team that has absolute global dominance in terms of tools and techniques. They call the team the Equation Group and believe it's been active for up to 2 decades. One of the group's worms, Fanny, used infected USB sticks to target so-called air-gapped computers not connected to the internet. Critical infrastructure like power stations and nuclear centers appear to be on the equation group's radar.
Generally, computers not connected to the internet are the computers managing the critical infrastructure. So this interest toward finding and infecting hard-to-reach computers indicates that the group is after critical infrastructure, of course.
Kaspersky researchers found victims from more than 30 countries, including governments, industry, media and Islamic scholars. Iran, Russia and Pakistan had the highest infection rates, enough to raise suspicions the NSA is involved.
So the NSA is not behind it?
Who's the NSA?
Kaspersky Labs suspects Fanny was a test run for a cyber weapon it found 5 years ago, Stuxnet, which infiltrated Iran's nuclear system. But CEO Eugene Kaspersky refuses to attribute blame.
We try to stay away from attribution. Attribution is not our job. Attribution, it's a job of cyber police, cyber security agencies. That's a state's job.
The firm says some of the attacks can't be cured and infected hard drives should be destroyed or simply thrown into the sea.
And the Russian IT security firm has also uncovered a 2-year criminal operation targeting banks, e-payment systems, and financial institutions. So far, at least $300 million have been stolen. Dan, how did they do it?
Well, Julia, the modus operandi of the criminals, the cyber criminals, was that they would send emails to bank employees. The employees would think that the emails have come from their friends. So after clicking those emails, the malware would get downloaded, and the malware would then crawl into the bank systems. And the target of these criminals was those people or those employees who administered or looked after cash transfer systems as well as remotely connected ATMs. So once the terminals got infected, the criminals would be able to make these transfers into fake bank accounts which they would create, or they were able to dispense cash at ATMs. This was one of their modus operandis, and the other was that they would they would hack into bank accounting system, and they would manipulate these accounts to make these big transfers.
Thank you so much, Dan. Let's move on now to Test 24, and in this edition, we'll take it outside. The founders of the Electricmood claim it's the smartest and lightest urban e-scooter in the world. It's currently in the prototype stage, but its designers hope to raise even more money on the crowdfunding platform Indiegogo to bring it to production later this year. Well, our in-house expert, Dhananjay Katakal, right behind me, has been playing with it and testing it all morning. Let's see what he thinks of it. Hi there, Dan.
Hello, Julia.
So, how smart is it?
Well, it's quite smart in multiple ways. You know, the first smart thing about this scooter is the motor. It's the so-called brushless motor, which not only helps to reduce weight, but it also helps in not using the electric power, so you can just pedal with your foot and march along. The second smart thing is the use of the aluminium for its frame. It again helps to reduce the weight, which means now the weight of the scooter is 10 kilo, which is very important because when you're using this as a second mode of transport, when your first mode of transport is, say, a metro or long-distance train, it's very easy to carry. You can actually drag it like a bag. And the third smart thing is that it comes with multiple features. Right now you don't see it here, but the final product will come with the front and back headlights. It has brakes. It has an autonomy of 12 miles. Its maximum speed is limited to 16 miles per hour. And the best part is that it is easily rechargeable. You can recharge it in just 1 hour. Of course, it's powered by lithium batteries.
And what about the price?
The price is competitive. It comes around $1,200 on the market. But right now on the Indiegogo page, for which the founders are using it to raise money, it's available at $990. So I think it's a very competitive price. You know, we have already tested an electric bike and an electric monowheel. So I think this is a great balance between the two.
So it's something you'd actually recommend to commuters in a big city?
Absolutely, I love it. I love riding on this scooter.
Thanks, Dan, for that. Well, that's all we have time for, but thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.